We are live. Is this the new song?
This will be the new song.
It's really low.
It's not up yet. It'll come in loud. Welcome to Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase. Innovative Strategies is a show designed to help people with their business and personal financial literacy, but not the way that you've known. This is not your grandpa's financial literacy, as Bill uses his 30-plus years in the financial industry to stretch your financial box from, about a 36,332-foot view of things. Bill and his guests have helped hundreds of clients achieve and surpass their financial goals. If you have questions, please email Bill at bill@billhaase.com. That's bill@billhaase.com. Or reach out to him right here at 216thenet@gmail.com. Put Innovative Strategies in the subject line. Of course, today, job seeking? We're seeking the seekers? We've got it all right here today. Bill, welcome in. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Ken. Thanks for that wonderful introduction. 36,332 feet today, huh?
That's it. We're well, the clouds. We're getting above the clouds.
We're way up there.
Yeah, we're getting above the clouds for sure.
We'll have to fall a little bit before we open that chute. But special day today. There's a lot going on in that world, and I get to it in a moment. But I first want to do a shout out, and this is kind of hard.
Yeah.
To Highland Park. Our condolences and our prayers to everybody in that community. I want to specifically point out all the efforts of the police department, the surrounding town police, ATF, FBI, the doctors, the firemen, the nurses, the staffing at the hospitals. It was amazing to watch, and I watched all day as things unfolded. And it was amazing, the effort that was put forward by all those people. And I just want to make sure that they get the kudos that they deserve, because I know in some of the news reports I'm hearing, they're kind of trying to say, well, what did they do wrong? Well, what could they have done better? They did an amazing job within hours figuring out who that person was, and hours later, got him. So special shout out to that group and all those amazing people that were part of that. But let's bring the show back up a little bit here.
Yeah.
Today we have Ilene Rein.
Yeah.
She is a job search strategist, executive recruiter. I thought this was very important to bring this subject to the forefront here today. There's a lot going on, right? Our economy's shaky. At best, we are in a recession, whether you like it or not. It's going to be here for a while. It's going to get more painful.
Whether it's said or not.
It's going to change, and it has changed that job world, right? We had that great resignation last year. We had August when 4.3 million people walked out of their jobs for a variety of different reasons. Everybody's trying to define that, but there's no one reason. But a lot of those people are looking to come back. And this is a difficult time. We have some big companies, Walmart, Amazon, laying people off. Some hiring freezes that are occurring or going to occur that are on the horizon that I'm aware of. So it's a challenging time. And, as Ilene likes to put it, anyone can find a job.
Yeah.
But she builds careers. Okay. So let's introduce and bring Ilene in on this. Welcome, Ilene. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So tell me something. What's the difference between just finding a job and we talked about this yesterday. So the issue we have is that companies are looking for the perfect person,
Mm-hmm.
and individuals are looking for the perfect job. Does that make it a little bit harder?
It's extremely difficult right now. And, we're in a new world order, and that's what people have to realize. Okay, so, this is the new normal. And if we address it as such, you now have to say, okay, how do we do it at this point? And the companies are looking for the perfect candidate. Okay, they're looking for someone with the exact type of experience in the exact type of industry. However, that's difficult to find because usually those people are employed or they have non-competes with other
Right.
companies. On the flip side, my candidates are looking for the perfect job. So they want remote work, they want to not work a lot of hours, they want high salaries. And what's happening is there's a standoff between the two. So that's where the difficulty is coming in hiring for my companies as well as getting hired for my job seekers.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's going to make it tougher. I mean, but part of the reason people left a year ago was because they were, companies are paying more money now, right? I
Yeah.
mean, again, something we discussed yesterday. We were talking like an engineer, mechanical engineer, who 2, 3 years ago would get out of college and make 50,000.
Mhm.
Nowadays, they're paying 70,000, and
And I feel bad for the people, or not bad for them, okay, but now that they're starting to see the market value that if they started at 50 and they're getting that incremental raise each year, well, now the starting salaries are higher. So the people who are younger than them, who are coming out, they're getting paid more. And you know what? Those people who started at that level, they're starting to look for jobs.
yeah.
So the companies kind of have to step up in order to keep that talent uh, and and keep up with market value.
It makes it even harder to get a job, right? Because now you have all these people that left the job that are trying to come back because they went out, they tried to start a business. They thought, I'll build it and they will come. They found out it's not that easy. Building a business takes a lot of time and effort. So they're kind of want to come back to work here. But now you got people who are already in jobs
Yeah.
that are now saying, I'm going to look for another job. So you have even more competition out there. And some of these jobs you're seeing people are getting hundreds and hundreds of resumes. How do you get through that?
I have bifocal contacts. That's how I get through it. Because as an executive recruiter, I go through at least 500 resumes a day. So you've got 5 seconds to catch my attention, or I'm moving on to the next resume. It's that simple. And at the moment, you're just a piece of paper to me. So you've got to do everything in your power as a job seeker to improve your chances, to increase your chances in order to get noticed and hired. Because yeah, for those key jobs, okay, because they're saying there's jobs out there, there's tons of jobs. The question is, okay, do you want that dream job? And if it's that dream job, I've got to tell you, they're getting, and you can look on Indeed or LinkedIn, there's 700 applicants for those jobs. So what are
Yeah.
you going to do to set yourself apart? Also,
So what do
even
you
the
do?
new graduate, I'm sorry, go ahead, I could talk for hours on
I
this.
know, but so what do you do? How do you get yourself in that small percentage of people that catch your attention? I mean, what is it that's on that resume that catches your attention above all others?
Well, and that's the thing. The recruiters are keeping these things secret. I find it amazing. I became a recruiter 11 years ago. And when I became a recruiter, I kind of saw behind the scenes as to how recruiters operate. And I said, I wish I knew this all then, what I know now. And I decided to create the program Pounding Pavement 101 to teach those inside secrets from the view of the recruiter to job seekers on how to develop a resume that generates calls, because that's the goal of the resume, is to generate calls. And if your resume isn't generating calls, and you should be getting right now in the market about 3 to 5 calls a week, and if you're not generating that type of activity, then we need to talk. And then I prepare people on how to interview, not based on the generic advice that's out there, but based on what are the recruiters actually listening for in your responses. And it's a little different. It's kind of speaking the language of the recruiter. And part three of my career building system, and this is what everyone forgets, you need a strategic plan as you're attacking the job market. It's not like, and Bill, we're going to date ourselves right now. It's not like years ago where we had the newspaper, the classified section, and you
Right.
went with your red pen and you circled the ads.
So true.
It's
Right.
different now. So you
Yeah,
need to
that's true.
create immense amounts of visibility. You need to know where the jobs actually are. And that's what I'm teaching people. That's how they're getting hired on average. My average right now is 44 days to get someone hired in their dream job. Without using my program, it's taking people an additional 7 months. It's taking them 255 days. That's an additional 7 months of income. That's thousands of
That's
dollars
lost
they can
income.
have in the bank.
Right, that's lost income. And good morning, Ted. Thanks for joining us today. That's lost income. That's time to you get depressed. You feel like you're not succeeding. But I'm gonna pin you down here. I still want to know
Okay.
what do I put on that top of that resume that catches your eye? That tells you, and I know there's no anecdote, there's no one thing, but what does catch your eye that says I'm gonna put this one in the review pile instead of the see you later pile?
You got to connect the dots for recruiters because as a recruiter, I might be sitting with 50 requisites on my desk at any given time. So when I see a resume, and let's say it's an engineer. Now, an engineer, a mechanical engineer, can have many different jobs. They could be a salesperson, a sales engineer, an application engineer. They can have an engineering job, a project management job, a marketing job. Uh, they could be a product manager, it can be anything. But when I get a resume and they're not telling me what they want, then you're leaving it to me to guess. And you know what? Number one, I don't have the time to guess. It's not my job to figure out what they want. And if they just tell me and make it crystal clear, rather than years ago, we used to put, you know, full paragraphs in the objective and it was like a mission statement. No, that means you're making me work for it. Just tell me what you want. And this way I match it up with the requisite on my desk. It generates the call.
Yeah, and I understand that, but not everybody knows exactly what they want. Um, Not everybody knows all of the different types of opportunities that might be available out there. And these are reasons, folks, why you want to look to someone like Eileen to help you because she knows much more. She's being a little modest. She's comes from a background where her parents were recruiters for many, many decades. And so she has a much wider understanding than she's letting on. But um, we often on this show talk about how you need to seek help from those who are professionals at what you're trying to accomplish if that's not your strength. And if you're not a recruiter, then it's not your strength, right? How many times do you go out in life and seek a new job? And when we want to age ourselves, Eileen, back in the day, there were so many people that stayed in one job their whole lives. And then
Yeah.
there were people that might change. I think the average when I was growing up, and I'm shrinking now, so I'm on the other end here. But you change your jobs 2 or 3 times in a career. Nowadays, we jump all over the place.
Well,
Uh,
and that's not good either.
yeah,
Recruiters will not like to reach out to people who are changing jobs every year, 2 years, because and it's not even not the recruiters, it's the companies because it takes a long time to onboard someone. It's expensive to onboard someone,
right,
okay, and they've put time and effort into you. And now in a year or two, you're going to be leaving. Well, they may have paid a recruiting fee also in order to engage the talent. So
right.
now that you're talking thousands of dollars and then you're leaving. So they're not looking for job hoppers. On the
Well,
flip side, you mentioned to the person who's there for 30 years, well, as a recruiter, we'll take them through the entire process. And in the 11th hour, they kind of get cold feet because although they're not happy where they are, they kind of know where all the skeletons are in the closet. They know the lay of the land
but isn't it
and
still
they won't
true?
make a move.
Yeah, isn't it still true though that you kind of have to jump jobs to get a raise, to get greater income because you get in one institution and you get that 1.5, 2% raise a year. There's no guarantee on any bonus, even though everybody expects it and thinks it's their right to get one. Um, but you can go switch jobs and you can get 50% more income as much as.
Well, and there's in some states that it is illegal for a recruiter to ask what your current compensation is.
Oh,
And
really? Okay.
because of, yeah, and there's a list, okay, it's on the internet of, which states have that law. The position should be based on market value of the position. It shouldn't be based on your previous compensation, because maybe you were underpaid. Maybe you didn't get raises each year. Maybe that business wasn't
Well,
doing well.
and a lot of people wear more than one hat in their job, but they're only
Yeah,
getting paid for the one hat.
Yeah.
yeah.
People juggle different aspects of their job, but they're only getting paid to do one thing, but they're asked to do much more.
Mhm.
That's very common. I would say,
That's extremely common.
yeah, I would say it's uncommon to not wear
So,
more.
so here's an interesting thing. My daughter's 25 years old and soon to be 26. Got her master's. She's a clinical psychologist. Went to work for a great organization, um, and got more than a 10% raise after 90 days. But she said that somebody got a bigger raise than her, and she felt she was better than them. Should I ask for a raise? It's really, you're more willing to ask, but wow, I was like 10% is pretty good. I was
Well,
like,
you don't
wow,
ask, you don't
that's
get.
amazing. So then she asked, and they gave it to her, and I told her,
Right?
I said, honey, life don't work this way. I said, I said, take it, but this is a weird thing. Well, then she's really good at what she does. Another facility reached out to her because of her reputation now in a very
Mhm.
short time, inside of
Okay.
a year, and said, "Hey, we want," which gave her like half it. I mean, like 1.5 times what she was making.
Yep.
And again, I go, honey, life doesn't work this way.
It's a new world order, and us as parents, okay,
Yeah,
we're holding our breath in the meantime,
Well, once
because
she fixes you, then I'll know she's good.
yeah,
But we'll know
but
how.
yeah, this is what's happening right now in the market,
yeah,
because all of a sudden there was an increase in inflation of salaries, and all of a sudden everyone's looking and saying, and salaries used to be kept quiet.
yes,
Okay, it was taboo to discuss
Oh yeah,
salaries, but
absolutely. Nobody
the,
ever said what they were making. I remember though I was working at a bank and they kept asking me. I was a guinea pig for new programs, and we're gonna make you're gonna do this, and now we're gonna give you
Mhm.
this new title and that new title, and there was never any money involved. And I finally, and each time it was like, do 20% more work. That's really what it
Yeah.
means. And I'm like, okay, I'm giving you 110% of what I can do anyway, so whatever. And then I would just go, okay, what's the pay? And they're like, what? And I said, well, I assume you're asking me to do 20% more work. You're giving me this brand new big title and that there's more pay involved. And they hadn't thought of that. I said, well, it's Friday. You want me to take this position. So on Monday, why don't you come back and let me know what it's going to pay? And I'll let you know whether or not I'll take it. Um, and they wound up giving me a 5% raise. I took the job, and then everybody after me that came through the same program would come by and say, "Hey, I'm like you. I'm level 3 or whatever." And I'd say, "Did you get the 5% raise?" And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "You didn't even ask."
Yes. Got a new card.
So let me ask you this, Eileen: Is it
sure.
still the old style thinking that it's easier to get a job when you're working than when you're unemployed?
That, yeah, that was the rule. Okay, that you certainly don't want to leave a job until you have another job. However, right now, again with the pandemic, the rules are out the window. This
Yeah,
is kind of that blip in everyone's career. Okay, if we go back to 2007, 2008, there was a blip.
yeah,
Okay, because all of a sudden there were massive layoffs, and that's what's happening now. There were some industries that were hit very hard, and the problem is that those people were let go. Hospitality was let go. Recruiters were let go. Okay, the
yeah.
companies weren't hiring, uh, but people needed to earn a living. So they went to other places to find jobs, or they, as you said, they started new businesses. So, as a recruiter, I'm kind of giving everyone a break as I'm searching through candidates and saying, if you're unemployed, let's get you employed again.
Yeah, that's awesome because people made a lot of folks made that mistake, quitting their job. Um, and they don't have a plan, and they're living off of their 401ks and their credit cards, and they're starting to gag a little bit here, and they want to get back into this workforce now. you know, even just a few months ago, you as a recruiter probably had a whole lot of different companies that were looking to use your services, but you didn't have anybody to fill positions. Now, are you seeing more people are coming in to fill positions, or how about a reduction in the number of companies coming to look to fill them?
It's like the wild, wild west right now. It's a
It is.
combination.
Mhm.
Companies are still hiring. Look, my program Pounding Pavement 101, I've had no problem getting people hired right through the pandemic, right through, even at the beginning, because I'm showing them exactly how to job search, basically from the view of the recruiter. But the companies are hiring, but there are more candidates going after those really great jobs. And that's where you need to be competitive, because a job seeker will say, gee, I'm perfect for this job. They meet every requirement. They would love that job, but they forget that they need to look to the right and left and say there's more candidates. They may have another 100 candidates, another 700 applicants for that same job. And that's what people forget. So they've got to do everything in their power to be better. I equate it to Shark Tank. Okay, if you're a fan of Shark Tank, I am. Okay, that you go into that Shark Tank, and they have a marketing expert, and they have a finance expert, and a branding expert, and they have all their ducks in a row ready to pitch the account.
Yeah.
When you are applying for a job, you're basically pitching an account. You're pitching yourself to an employer in order for them to spend a lot of money on you.
So, okay, so then I want to go back to the resume thing. All right. So
Okay.
we a lot of folks talk about hire for character. Um, and because you can't teach character, right? You can train somebody, you can teach somebody many of the jobs that need to be done or tasks. But a character doesn't necessarily come through on a resume. I so
It
that's
does.
it's
It
kind of a,
does, however.
it does. Okay. Okay.
It does, because some of the things that you're not only including your experience, it's almost like a dossier of who and what you're about. So you're discussing your experience, you're showing that you can show up to work, and even if it's that new graduate who has no field experience, gee, were they able to hold a job as a waitress or a waiter? Okay, that they showed up to work every day, they earned a paycheck, they did a good job. But also in terms of character, what are you doing for your community? How are you giving back? Okay, are you participating? Are you networking, or are you holed up in your apartment or your
Yeah.
house and not engaging with people? So that does speak volumes.
It does. Yeah, I can see that. I always told my kids, I said, when you go interview for a job, the most important thing to do is be yourself. Because
Yes.
if it fits and it feels right, that's wonderful. But if you're going to try to be somebody whom you think they want, that isn't you, and you do get that job, and then you find out you don't like it, it's not a fit. It's a two-way street, job hunting. It's not just that you want that job, but is that job the right one for you? And that's hard, right? Because most people, we don't know what the culture is of the company that you're interviewing with necessarily. I don't know how much people do their homework before they go into a company or a business, but I would recommend that. Um, but like you said, things have changed so dramatically. I know my son. He started a new job not too long ago, but the job he had before that, it was a bait and switch. He was interviewed to be a manager in an office, and on his first day of work, they gave him the address to show up at a warehouse,
Hmm.
and he was working in a warehouse.
Just a big
It's like,
office.
hey,
Well, some companies do that. I know Home Depot specifically has their senior staff, okay, the upper management, C-level management, and they have them work in the stores for a couple of weeks to really get a feel and an understanding. Look, there's so much. Each company is different in how they operate. I want to bring back to your point of you need to be yourself. Okay, and you may be great for the job, and you may not get the job because, oh, sorry, you may I'm sorry, my earphones just went out. You may not get the job. Maybe you have a green tie and someone else has a blue tie. It might be that simple. It
Yeah.
might be that, everyone goes to play softball on Wednesday nights and you play softball. Fantastic. Uh, and maybe someone else doesn't. It could be as simple as that. But, I always equate it to, it's almost like, yeah, it
Did I lose you?
Oh, we might have lost her there.
Did we lose you? Can you hear me?
oh,
There we go.
I'm hearing someone else also.
Oh, not us.
Is that you?
No.
No.
The joy
Okay,
of
hold on one second. I'll be right back. Hold on. I
joy-
apologize.
the joy of technology, of course. This is Innovative Strategies. Great time for a quick segue, right? So,
Yeah.
Innovative Strategies right here on 21.6 The Net with Bill Haase. You can tune in every Wednesday morning at promptly at 9 a.m. Central Time. And if you've missed any of his shows, you can go out onto Spotify. You can go out to any of your wherever you listen to podcasts, because the show becomes a podcast immediately following, and also airs a couple different times here on 21.6 The Net. Today we've got our good friend Ilene Rein from poundingpayment101.com. She's helping us. She's a recruiter.
Yep.
Helping us understand the fight and how to, well, if I was part of the great, walkout last year, resignation, I guess they call it. And I went, whoops, and I'm looking to get back in. She's always looking.
And then we want to point out that Ilene, as she said, working with someone like her, you get that job inside of about 44 days.
Yeah.
And without that support that she provides, you're looking at 7+ months.
Yeah.
That's 7+ months of running up the bills and not bringing any income in. So that's a double whammy. So there's value here in working with professionals, as always. And Ilene, usually if I were coming to you and I'm looking for a job, am I the one paying you, or is it the other end that's paying you?
For Pounding Pavement 101, I am helping the job seeker. So the job seeker is the one who is hiring me to help them in resume development, in interview preparation, and job search strategies.
Okay.
I don't believe in resume writers. The reality is people know their backgrounds better than anyone. I just show them how to set themselves up to succeed. And that's the difference. That's why my program has been working so well, because it's a full career building system. Because, people will come to me and say they need a resume. That's great. Okay. But the resume is just one tool in the toolbox to get them the job. The goal is to get a job. The goal isn't an exercise in resume writing, because, I've done resumes with people, but then they don't know how to take it out for a ride. Okay. They don't know what to do with it. And they're still the best kept secret in town, even though the resume looks great. So I teach them how to put that into action.
Yeah. That's such a great point. I had one time I went for an interview it was with a bank, and then I was looking to go to the financial side for investments and stuff. And I went to do an interview, and I sat down with the folks. They were all younger than me, and they looked at me and they said, "We've never seen a resume like this before," because I had way more experience than anybody I was sitting in front of that I was going to be working under. And that was really the wrong thing, because they were not going to hire me. They're not going to hire somebody who knows more than they do about what they're doing.
But they should.
They should
make their job easier.
But that might have taken me down a different path, and I wouldn't be where I am today. But that can happen too.
In the early 2000s, when my coffee shop went under, I always had that entrepreneurial feel. I went to an interview with a young man, and he's like, "Well, where do you see yourself in 5 years?" And I started to laugh, and he goes, "Well, what's so funny?" I go, "Well, I understand why you're asking that question, but 5 years ago, I wouldn't have answered sitting in front of you."
Good point. You can't even think about more than 5 years anymore, because we have so many changes,
Yeah.
and things that occur. We have pandemics, we have terrorist attacks, we have housing bubbles,
Yeah.
we've got economic issues. There's something always making us adjust and keeping us on our toes.
Yeah.
And you can count on that going on forever,
Forever.
going forward, folks. I mean, as a retirement strategist, I love when people say, "Well, I've got the next 10 years planned out." And I said, "That's great. Do you plan on dying then, or are you looking to go 20 or 30 years out?"
Yeah.
Because a lot of folks only do that short-term planning, and so long-term planning, and that goes into writing a resume. That goes into job hunting too. You're not looking for a job just to get some income right now, and you're looking for a career. Uh,
Well, and that advice that I'm giving people, it's not only about today's job that they're going after, it's about, okay, what's the long-term plan? Because these are all stepping stones to get to that plan. That doesn't mean that the plan is set in stone, okay? And things change and your desires change. Your personality changes as you grow up. Life happens. You don't know what bumps you're going to hit along the road, but at least you have a destination and then you make adjustments as you go.
Yeah.
But I'm not only looking to get them the dream job of tomorrow. What's the long-term dream right now?
yes.
Okay, and let's head them off on the path of success.
Yeah, I love that because maybe you're not ready for that your dream job. You have to work to get there. You
Yeah.
have to go through that
Well,
path, as you say. As an engineer, you come out of college, you're green. You got to learn. Okay, how does this system with this new job I'm in now, and now I've got to learn how they do things here, and you work your way
what?
to
Yeah.
experience and knowledge.
Eileen, what are you finding is the dream job? So are more people, I mean, the great resignation is people felt that they were being treated unfairly. They were tired of maybe trying to climb the corporate ladder, and that it wasn't a good atmosphere. So as we talk about the dream job, what is the dream job for people who are looking nowadays? What are they truly looking for?
I think it's different for everyone. Everyone's looking for different things. Right now, the hot topic is, well, I want a remote job.
Mm,
And what people aren't realizing is that's great. They want a remote job. Look, I've worked remote for many, many years, and everyone's, peeking into my world and saying, "Gee, this is a good deal." I said, "Yeah, I know. That's why I've been doing it." But what they're not realizing is when it's a remote job, the candidate pool is even larger
mm,
because now they're not looking in a specific geography or looking for people who might relocate. Now they can have anyone anywhere.
interesting.
So, that makes it a little bit harder to look for a job. And there are still some companies that are requiring people to be in the office.
Mhm.
And, I just can't get around with it. Different companies operate and certain positions. Look, you have to be in a manufacturing plant, you have to be in an office,
Yeah.
whatever the case might be. But, that's where I think everyone's starting to think a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a number of jobs out there that you have to be there. You have to be with other people. There's a lot to be said about what goes on around the water cooler, right?
Yeah.
And how ideas get tossed around, that you just don't get from people working remote, right?
Yeah.
One of the issues I read about for the Great Walk out there was people didn't think that their ideas mattered to the
Mhm.
company about what they thought might be a good thing to do going forward in the business, or be beneficial to the business. And, they didn't feel like they were being heard. Now, if you're going to work remote, um, you're definitely not being
Yeah.
heard.
So an interesting thing as well with remote is got a good friend who she has just an incredible business, and after 2020, she decided that hey, and it's a lot of marketing. It's a marketing business, right?
Okay.
I can sell my office. I don't need the think tank.
Yeah.
We were very, very productive through 2020, and so took the whole company remote, right? And I asked her, I said, well, how's it going? And she says to me, she goes, I didn't know how difficult it would be. I go, what do you mean difficult? She goes, I don't ever want to leave my house now. And she goes,
Well,
there's networking events, there's things that, hey, I would do. Or she goes, on my way home, I would have a list. I stop and get the dry cleaning, stop and pick up this, that. And she goes, I don't do any of that now because
no,
I'm
but
just sitting at home.
but it's not easy to learn to work from home if you're not accustomed to it.
Right.
I remember it took me about a year and a half
Mhm.
to get comfortable with it because everything could get in the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I can do
Yeah.
laundry. I can make a nice long lunch. Oh, I can catch that show I missed.
That's right.
Oh, I got to let the dog out. There's so many reasons for you to get up and get away from that desk and not be doing your actual work.
Yeah.
So you're not as productive. However, that's not saying you're not as productive. I know
You're productive in a different way.
I know
Yeah.
one of the big banks that the CEO of a big bank had said for years, we're never going to let you work from home. Stop asking. It's never, ever, ever going to happen. Pandemic hits. Everybody's working from home. And what happened? Productivity went way up.
Way up.
Went way
And
up.
expenses went down.
And expenses went
Because think
down.
about all the salespeople, okay, all of a sudden they weren't traveling.
Right.
But
and they
they're
were still
paying for a
doing
lot of office
business.
space that's not being used. That's
right.
That's that also. So the office space, but the salespeople just in travel, and they're more productive because they're not spending their time in traveling from place to
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're able to get on Zoom. And look, there's been video conferencing for years. It's just that now we were all forced to embrace it. So, have you gotten on a phone call recently and it feels odd not to be on a Zoom call and seeing someone's
Right.
face?
That's so true.
Right. Because and constantly get on somebody's calendar, and you have to put your information in there and, to set up the time and everything. And at the bottom, it says, is this a phone call or a Zoom call? And I'm like, it's Zoom always.
Yeah.
I
That's
like,
right.
I like to see who I'm talking
Yeah.
to. I like to,
Isn't that interesting?
yeah, yeah,
Hey,
stay off the phone.
Of course, Ilene Rein is with us, and she, if you want to know what she does, check out www.poundingpavement101.com. There's an interesting thing in there that I want to bring up, and I've got it pulled up on screen right now, is you've got, I think this is how to easily land your dream job right now using a recruiter's hidden secrets. And you've got a three-step kind of a three-step job search plan. And the interesting thing is step 3. And I think step 3 is one that, well, here's what I do. I'm putting my resume out on Indeed and Monster and ZipRecruiter, and I'm done.
And it doesn't work.
No.
That's the problem.
It's kind of like those dating apps, huh, Ken?
Yeah. Those are always hard to explain to my wife. I just say I'm recruiting.
Look, I don't believe in sitting back and letting things come to me and letting things happen. If you want to make it happen, you've got to work at it. And this is not easy. It is time consuming. It is sometimes frustrating, and it takes work. But what I did was I created a plan, number one, to streamline the production of applying for jobs, to make it easier. Number two, how to create immense amounts of visibility for yourself.
Wow.
So in other words, I talk about active and passive searching, how to really go out and find those hidden jobs, because they're not all out there. So I teach people how to do that. It's the chemical reaction between the 3 steps in my program. That's what's turbocharging these job searches. And it's working every single time.
Well, think about it. I mean, if you were hiring, let's say I'm out and I want to go, I'm job hunting. I might have to have the mentality that, okay, what would I be looking for if I was looking to hire somebody? And I want somebody who's active. I want somebody who's out there pushing and working hard at trying to get a job. I don't want somebody who's just sitting back saying, okay, I put my resume out on all of these recruiting sites and I'm just going to wait for the phone to ring. That's not the kind of person I want to hire.
Right.
Really.
It doesn't work that way.
But used to.
Okay.
Used to, right? I mean,
it used to.
Yeah.
There was a time that worked. I mean, career builders. Remember that?
Oh, remember that? Yeah.
Yeah. That's an oldie. I had a good friend that worked there for a number of years. but also, well, now I got myself tongue tied here. But I mean, we talked about also, um, a lot of recruiters in the past have hidden there's the secrets, um,
Yeah.
and you're kind of against that.
I
You
love
kind
it.
of like to,
Yeah.
help give those secrets out there, and I like that because I think that draws people in more.
Yeah.
Um, why would you hide how to get a job?
I would rather tell everyone how to do this. Let them do it. Let them become employed. There's nothing I take more seriously than someone's livelihood. And that's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And, we were discussing yesterday, Bill, about, the movie Risky Business. Okay. And you don't mess with someone's livelihood. Well, this is what it is. And people need to earn a living. And if I can get them into not only a job, but their dream job, it's truly my pleasure. As you can tell, I love what I do.
Yeah. Now, you of course, help people all throughout the United States. Are you worldwide? Tell us a little bit about Pounding Pavement 101.
This program is working globally. I have clients around the globe. That's why, I have my calendar is open. I'm working nights and weekends in order to accommodate all my clients around the globe.
That's amazing.
Because I'm really teaching people how to market themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. It's not only about the looking for the job. How do you present yourself overall and market yourself? Because this is a marketing project.
Yeah.
It's marketing the person to an employer the same way that you market a product to the marketplace. The job seeker just happens to be the widget in this case.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say, well, and here's the other thing though. We keep talking about, okay, unemployment is low. And I know how they do these numbers, and let's just say,
compared to
they're not as accurate.
Compared to the population of the world, it is low.
Yeah, okay. So unemployment, let's say they say the rate's 3.6 or something, right around there right now. And yet and you can sit there and you can go on all these Indeed and different websites and stuff, and there's all these job postings, but I mean, the good jobs aren't really all posted, are they? I mean,
no, because as a recruiter, I never post jobs.
Yeah.
Because when I post a job, first of all, it costs me money to post a job as a recruiter. And if I post a job and I say, let's say, you must have a degree in chemical engineering, that's a minimum requirement. I get a resume from hospitality.
Yeah.
Someone with a hospital, which is, look, nothing against the person from hospitality, but they're not going to be a good match for the job for a chemical engineer. So that now is wasting my money in posting a job. It's also wasting my time. And even though it's just one resume, remember, I'm going through many resumes and I'm looking for top talent to fill the positions on my desk. That's a waste of time. So you really need to review those job specs. And look, you don't have to match, if there's 10 requirements, you don't have to match all 10.
I was going to say.
Okay, let me just put that out there.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you've got to at least match some of the basics.
Yeah, it makes sense. I used to kind of ignore that. When I was job hunting one time, I remember, I was like, I didn't fit all the categories of the requirements that they were putting out there, but I fit a few of them, so I would apply because you don't know. Right. And maybe there is still a fit. I can learn some of that other stuff, and I'll get there. I'm a quick learner, was my mentality. But so that's good to hear that you don't have to fit all of them.
Well, also, if you fit some of them, that company may have another job that's available that maybe you're not a good fit for that specific position, but maybe you'd be a good fit for another position that they might have that maybe they didn't post. But at least it's within that same company, within that same realm. Okay, maybe it's at a different level, but you have to at least fit some of the basic requirements, at least some of them.
So then why don't I just get my resume together and I'm just going to send it out to every HR person of every company I'd like to work for?
You could. But that's a lot of time, a lot of effort. I teach job seekers how to apply with laser precision.
Okay.
We're going after the dream job, not just a job. And, I had one client, he wanted to be a social media manager. and he was just applying all over the place. Well, it turns out he loved cars. He loved race cars. And I said, well, then let's go for a job in the race car industry. And guess what? He landed it in 4 weeks.
Really?
And
Yeah.
he was smiling ear to ear. And on my website, I call it my wall of success. So once my clients are hired, I have a conversation with them afterwards. So, because quotes, sometimes you never know if they're real or not. So I have a conversation with them. They hear it directly from my clients as to what it's like to work with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have visions of renting a plane and throwing flyers out the window all over, a big city, Chicago, and hoping somebody picks it up and wants to hire me. But, um, obviously that's not the way to do things. But so, what other
Well,
tips?
years ago, it was, do something crazy like that. Okay.
Yeah,
Send balloons or, that's not going to work in today's
if that none of that
marketplace.
stuff works anymore. Sending cupcakes or flowers or balloons, anything, and then it's
It might, but it'd be very expensive to continuously do that for the amount of companies that are
yeah.
out
Well, I
there.
mean, you're laser focused. You want to get that one job, and that person is the one who's hiring, and you buy them a car, maybe redo their kitchen or something, and see if you can get that job. But
Well, if they work with you, Bill, they might have the money in order to afford to do
yeah, well, we'll see about that.
that.
We'll see about that. But yeah, so what are some other tips that you like to use, or, techniques that you like to use to help people? Because like you said, you help them and you get them within 44 days, they're finding
Mhm.
that great job. And so those people who are 7 months out right now running a tab, um, what can you say to them about what are some good inside tips?
They need to prepare for that interview. Once you generate the call with the resume and you have that interview, many people go in unprepared. So look, the reality is 75% of all questions are the same. If that's the case, then it's like studying for an exam. Let's prepare as you go in.
Right.
Okay, and I equate it to, if you remember when we all took the SATs and the PSATs.
Yeah.
You didn't take the PSATs, the practice test, one day and go in and take the SATs the next day. Somewhere in between, you studied. You said, okay, I did this wrong. Okay, let me study for the next thing. Also, company information, it's
Right.
out there. Okay, learn about the company culture, the press releases, figure out what's going on within that company. Again, years ago, we didn't have access to this information. It's at your fingertips. There is no reason for anyone to go in unprepared. So study up before you
You
go
know,
into that interview.
and I love that because I think it's so important. I want everybody who comes to work with me. First of all, they're not employees. I call them contributors, as everybody contributes to the common goal, and that is the mission statement. So if you're going to come be a contributor with me, you need to know our mission statement.
Mhm.
You need to know what we stand for, what we're about, what we're trying to accomplish here. And I think that would go a long way. You know, things like that go a long way in an interview. Um, you can bring up, look, I understand this is your mission here, and I love that, and that's what I want to be a part of. But doing homework, yeah, very, very important. Basic stuff. How long has the company been around? What is their specialty? What do they do? How do they do it? You know, and because that's doing your homework, not just because you're trying to be a good interview, but you want to make sure that it's the right fit for you anyway, right?
That's right. You may not want the job,
Yeah,
after
you
you
may
do
learn
your
that that's not
research.
the culture you want to be in.
Exactly, exactly. But the information is out there. Go deeper than just reading the company website.
Yeah,
There's so much information out there. And, LinkedIn, you can take a look at who's working at the company as well and learn more about those people.
that's a great idea too. Yeah, yeah. There's several pages, Facebook. Go look around, but it's very important. If you're not doing your homework, then you're not looking for your dream job. You're just looking to get paid. And if you want to do that,
Yeah.
you go to a restaurant. Okay, where
And Taco Bell down the road for $22 an hour.
yeah, that's amazing. Only in Florida, folks. Not here in Illinois. We're still at that 15 or 12 or whatever an hour it is now, depending upon what position you hold. But all right. So, what's the market look like going forward? What do you see happening in this job search world?
I'm hearing multiple things right now. So we're going into the R word. I'm not going to say the word. Okay. It's, we don't
Okay,
want to
let's just
jinx
say
it.
it. I'll say
Okay.
it.
But then, no, we don't want to say it. I'm a big West Wing fan. We belong, remember,
Yeah,
never say
I,
the word. So, uh, if that's the case, company layoffs are coming, and that will be on the horizon. On the flip side, look, there are jobs out there, and if people are not generating calls and they're not getting hired, they need to reach out. They can reach out to me, they can reach out to someone else, but we need to fix the job search. It's the definition of
yeah,
insanity.
right.
Doing the same activities and expecting different results. No, you've got to change it up. Uh, right now, there are jobs out there. The companies are hiring. I'm getting calls, recruiting calls. So if they're not getting activity, if they're going 6 months, they're going a year without a job, they definitely need to invest in
They're doing
something.
something
They
wrong.
need to change. Yeah, and they need to acknowledge that. If after a month they're not getting any calls, even still, because why do you want to struggle? Why do you want to go months without a paycheck? Why do you want to,
Right.
it takes a hit on your self esteem, that you have nothing to offer. You do have something to offer. It's just you may not be marketing yourself properly.
Well, so I hear folks like I'm applying to 20 to 50 jobs a week, and nobody's calling me back.
They're
I
not doing it right.
You're not doing it right.
They're
Yeah.
not doing it right. They're not set up to succeed. And, they can talk to, a resume writer. And I had one person pay $10,000 for a resume. And I'm looking at this resume, and literally, as a recruiter, page one, I just crumpled and threw out. I said, I don't need this page. And it was work to go through it and to be able to figure out what this person wants. Go to the right person for the right job. Go to an expert. Take a look at their credentials. Take a look at their statistics of placement. Okay, and see, and then you know, even though someone has interviewed people and hired people, it's very different when the tables are turned and you're now interviewing. So they may be able to interview people and hire people, but for them to give advice, no, go to the person on the front lines.
Yeah.
And I equate it to, if you're taking an exam in school, who do you ask, what should I study, what's going to be on the test? Do you ask the teacher, or do you ask the superintendent of schools?
Yeah.
Superintendent knows the curriculum, the teacher knows exactly what's on that exam.
Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this then too. Um, the first step, obviously, you have to have a good resume. So what are the tips to a good resume? I mean, is it still only supposed to be one page only? Um, can it be more than one page? And maybe some do's and don'ts on a resume.
There it does not need to be one page, because the reality is I never print out a resume. Everything is digital now. So what difference does it make if I'm scrolling through one page versus two pages?
Okay.
But you do need to have that important information up top, because look, if I read, the first paragraph, okay, the first couple of lines, and you haven't caught my attention, I'm certainly not reading the next couple of lines. The one page resume is really to get that information above the fold. But if you're a more seasoned professional, I want to see a career history, so I want to see multiple pages. The
Okay.
college students coming out, they're required to, or they're being told to do one page. And that's because their college career centers, they have to treat each student equally. And if that's the case, each person gets the same amount of real estate. So this way, when the companies come in, first of all, they only have X amount of time to go through all the resumes, and they want each student to be seen, and they flip through the resume book. So everyone gets that one page. But, the college graduates today, they have so many accolades, and they're so involved in activities that you want to get more information in. You don't want to follow the exact template that the colleges are giving. You don't want to follow the one page. And again, if the day one of college, you look to your right and you look to your left, and they say one of you won't be here when you graduate.
Yeah.
Well, that was true for me. I don't know if it was true for you, but that other person is your competition. So who's more important for you to get hired or your friend? First, let's get you hired, okay? And you need to do everything you can to increase your chances to become the candidate of choice. You get hired, and then you can help your friend get hired.
Right. Saying, oh, you need another person? I got just the person. Yeah, I've worked in those environments. When I was in the trading pits for 20 years, we were mortal enemies. From the time that bell rang in the morning to start the market till it rang in the afternoon and close the market. And then after that, we were all good buddies. We were all good friends. But we were big time competitors in that 8 hours or 7 hours of trading. But so that's one of the myths that I always had about was, a resume has to be one page. But what about, and you want to put things on there, like if you're active in community and maybe you're on, maybe you're helping out with volunteer work and things like that. I mean, do you still put things like married, 2 kids, fourth wife? I mean, do you put personal stuff on there now too? Still?
No. Keep the person. And as a recruiter, it's illegal for me to ask those type of questions. Are you married? Do you have children? Are you planning on having children? So you should not be putting that information. I mean, I've had some resumes where people are putting their height and weight. No, I don't care about that. Also, I don't need a photo on your resume. The photo is on the LinkedIn profile. And when you put a photo, please smile. Okay, I get some on LinkedIn that they look like mugshots.
This is not a mugshot, right?
People reflect what they see. If I see someone smiling and they're attractive, then I'm going to smile back, and that person is approachable. When I see a mugshot and someone is sitting so stiff, I don't want to call that person. I'm like,
I don't want to hire that.
They're not going to be friendly on the phone.
I don't want to hire that psycho. Chris Rivera has a good point we have up here. Yep. And Chris, thanks for listening in. College Career Centers are not setting up graduates for success by giving them outdated, job search information. And it's a continuation because this starts in high school and counselors in high school. There's really no counselor program out there. Counselors get on average about 9 minutes per student per semester to make a judgment call on like where to go to college. And you just can't do that. It doesn't work. And same thing here, I think, Chris, is when you try to make everybody do it the same way, how do you stand out?
Exactly. And usually the people in the career counselors, they need to treat every student equally. And look, my own daughter was given the exact opposite advice that she should have been given, and it would have hurt the trajectory of her career. She has listened to me enough that she knew enough. And I told her, just smile, shake their hand, say thank you very much, and we'll fix it on the back end.
We'll get that fixed up. Well, we're down to a couple minutes here.
Yeah, I told you this hour would fly by. It's great.
Yeah.
Of course, we've got Ilene Rein, and if you're looking to make it rain, it's the first time she's heard that. Check her out at www.poundingpavement101.com. Let me throw it up on the screen as well, and I'll get to the main page, but you'll note that you'll see some great little icons of people running with a what I would call a good sized lunchbox. Not necessarily briefcase, right? Anyway, incredible person and business to help you absolutely get hired rapidly. I mean, what did you say, Bill? 44
days on average she's getting folks into positions, as opposed to doing it on your own.
255 days on their own.
Yeah.
200, and now it's moved out. And again, what you might have thought when you were young is, hey, I'm in the Chicagoland area, so I'm going to get a job that way. Whoops. So is the rest of the world, because it can be remote a lot of times too. So Very, very interesting stuff. But if you take your job seriously, or you want to take a job seriously, I would absolutely say check out Ilene here. It's absolutely great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you
I
so
think,
much.
we always say, go to a professional. Get help from a professional to accomplish what
Yeah.
you're looking to accomplish, because we don't know everything and we don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
But there's a common statement I'm hearing a lot lately. And, it's reach out to a professional like Ilene, who's, second generation. She knows this inside and out. She knows the tricks and the trades. And like you pointed out, there's a lot of these jobs out there. They're not posted. They're hidden.
Yeah.
And folks like you know where to find them. So, and we really want to thank you so much for
Yep.
coming on today and having, and this discussion. I think it's important. I think that going forward, hopefully this has helped a lot of folks and will help a lot of folks with their job search. And if they're smart, they're going to be looking you up very quickly.
That's it.
Because you're better.
Thank you so much.
You better get going on this
Yeah.
right now, because in 2 months, it's going to be a whole different picture.
Yep.
We're not using the R word. We're not using the
Move
word,
fast,
but
right?
we know it's on the horizon.
Yeah, right after that will be the D word, but
Hey.
we'll see what happens. But thanks you all. Thanks everybody. Thanks Ilene for coming on the show. Greatly appreciate it. And we appreciate all you listeners out there. And again, condolences, prayers to Highland Park. God bless you folks for all you do. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
For all of us here at 216 Net, thanks for getting caught in the net with us this morning. This has been Innovative Strategies with Bill Haase. Stick around at 12:30 Central. Questions you never thought you could ask in church. For all of us here at 216 Net, be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.